This is the virtual happy hour experience with the Drunken Grape. I am your host, Rob. And today, or this evening, we have a brilliant guest. He is a decorated veteran, spent a tour in Afghanistan and a tour in Bosnia, 28 years serving the Canadian military with the Cameron Highlanders, and is now a technical recruiter, has an incredible backstory, and was involved in evacuating one of his key members, an Afghani interpreter. And we're going to get into this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the show my great friend, Tyson Martin. Tyson, how the hell are you, buddy?
Good, Rob, my old friend. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm good. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your past. You know, what got you into the military? It's not everybody or an everyday type of journey that somebody wants to lay their life down on the line for their country. And obviously, having a family that is long decorated in military history, I absolutely commend anyone that does. It wasn't a path for me, but it was a path for my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, I believe my great-great-grandfather, and my brother.
Yeah,
So talk to us a little bit about that whole experience. I mean, that had to have been harrowing and pretty tough. You spent 2 tours in theaters of war, quite literally, and the last one being Afghanistan. I think, when did you leave? Was it around 2011 was your last time there?
Yeah, it was my 2010, TF 2010. I was there with the 82nd Airborne and 1 RCR. That's a Canadian 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment. I was a tactical PSYOPs team commander.
Yeah, and you saw a lot. I know we've been friends for over half our lifetimes. And, you know, I know that you've shared a lot of insights on what you've experienced there. And this is definitely a tough thing. And of course, we're in the month of remembering veterans. Remembrance Day has just passed. And you were also involved in something very interesting with the whole fall of Kabul and the evacuation of Afghanistan with the pullout under President Joe Biden. You were involved in something really interesting. You helped evacuate your key interpreter. I know you raised something like $16,000 on GoFundMe.
No, I raised like this $25,000. But yeah, that's actually that's an ongoing operation. Actually, I still have a Terp stuck in Islamabad right now. The government's completely ignoring. He's there with his 5 kids. He's been there for almost 65 days. He's starving to death. He has no money. We're sending him like dribs and drabs. But you know, there's only so much. The government's providing no funds. But essentially, I did a tour in Afghanistan in 2010. I was a tactical PSYOPs team commander. While I was there, I supported both the 82nd Airborne, the Americans, and 1 RCR, 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment out of Petawawa. And my team did 118 combat missions, missions outside the wire, and some pretty in the Panjwait and Yargandab. So very busy tour. And I was blessed to have with me an interpreter by the name of Hakeem. Hakeem, he did at least 100 missions with us, if not more. He was amazing. We love the guy, but he was a team member, essentially a brother. And I guess I've always kept in touch with him and reached out to him in July to just touch base, see how things are going, because I saw things were heating up. And I heard reports that Kabul could fall in a month or 2 or whatever. So I reached out to him, and I was surprised to hear that he was really, really actually quite concerned. He wanted to get out. He was actually desperate to get out. So then I started putting a plan into action to get him out of there. I was just trying to figure out how do I get him out. And I was fortunate enough to have some pretty decent connections here in Canada through the media and the military and such, and found a private network of former special forces, diplomats, ambassadors, politicians, NGOs, journalists, a whole bunch of wacky people who sort of banded together in a big sort of Zoom group. And we're working on this problem. And so I got him sort of expedited into the visa program, got that set up for him. And by the time Kabul fell August 15th, I was ready to get him out pretty much. All I had to do was get him to the airport, which was a challenge because he was stuck about 30 kilometers away from the airport. And, the whole place is full of checkpoints. And they'd actively been hunting him down. It's been years, but very active recently. So that's why he was so eager to get out. They were coming knocking on his door and stuff. But fortunate enough, he did not get captured, and he made it to the airport. He made it took him 3 attempts, 3 days going through the crowd. His wife was pretty much stomped to death twice, but she survived. So they resuscitated her. But I got him on the last plane out of Canada, the last Canadian flight out. So he's now here living in Ottawa. I'm his sponsor. And we raised $25,000 through GoFundMe, and I got him a job working at RVZ, which is like Airbnb for recreational vehicles, an Ottawa-based tech firm here. And they gave him a job in customer support, and he's making actually a really good salary, living a completely normal life, paying taxes here about 2 months later. So, and he moves into his apartment December 1st in a few days. So, yeah, quite a story. It's crazy, but the amazing thing here is that the Canadian government, not only did they not help in this situation, they got in the way. They provided the 5 planes out, but that was more of a show. They did nothing. I have an interpreter, and one of my other interp, Peter. He's Fida Hussein. He's stuck in Islamabad right now with his 5 children and his wife. They're all sick, miserable, starving to death. Doing the best we can to support them, but the government's actually canceled his flight. So there you go. There you have it. It's it's a sad situation. I believe we'll get him out because he's in Islamabad. He's relatively safe from the Taliban. His biggest fear now is actually starving to death and just, getting sick in a refugee camp and dying, because, he's got no medicine, he's got nothing. So we're trying to get him out. And that's about it. I mean, the government's done nothing but platitudes, lies. It's very disappointing. I don't like to get political in these things, but it's impossible when you're personally involved in something like this and watching the government, essentially look you right in the eye and tell you they're doing everything they can, and they're not returning your emails. So
that's crazy.
Nothing, zero, no money. We actually managed to raise $500,000 for safe houses in Kabul. That money got washed up really fast. So we're down to nothing. It's a very urgent situation, and there's a great group of people still working on this problem. And really, it's becoming hopeless, to be honest. I don't really see how they're going to get people out of there and processed without any government support. So there you go.
That's crazy. And, this government's talked a lot about doing things to help veterans. It's done nothing. We will veer away a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to dive into that issue. It'll take up the entire.
And we absolutely won't.
I think most Canadians are fairly comfortable with the concept that veterans get very little to any support. So it's
they lay their lives. They pay the ultimate price. It's unlimited liability on their end for a limited payoff, really. And it's, God bless you and all your friends, and Will from RV. Is it RV Easy?
RVZ.
I know Will's a decorated veteran as well.
Yeah, we surfed together. We did a tour together as SIOP team commanders at the same time.
Yeah, and he's the CEO of the 18th fastest growing company in Canada now? Like, he's doing incredibly well. And what's incredible is he's such a good guy. He's got such a heart to find the time and the compassion to reach out and help people like this. I know this has made national news. You were on global news. You were featured in the media. We're going to go ahead and showcase that. I'm just going to share this on the screen. And this is something that's pretty cool, because this is something that, we can talk about it. It talks about the Ottawa Man reunited. And, here we are. And you can see this here. And also, as that's loading up, cheers to you, the happy hour, ladies and gentlemen. I'm enjoying a great Chardonnay. I actually have a virtual tasting party to host after this. Enjoy that bong hit, Tyson. Yes, it is legal in Canada to smoke cannabis. But here we are. This is a featured story. Now, this is incredible. We go in. Ottawa Man reunited with Afghan interpreter after a harrowing escape. And for everybody that watched that on the news, you saw, B-52s and all sorts of planes with Afghani refugees literally falling to their deaths. It was a horrible scene. It was chaos. I am so glad you got somebody like this out. Abdul Hakim deserved this. We're going to show just a bit of the snippet here. We're going to share this video and just take a quick look, my friend. Cheers to you, and cheers to being such a great patriot to Canada. Cheers. Oh, we got an ad here. Let's see if we can skip it. Unfortunately, we can't.
All-wheel drive.
Just bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. This crap's ending in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is what.
Tonight, an inspiring friendship and the lengths one Ottawa man went to save the life of someone he calls his brother.
One Afghan interpreter now safe in the capital thanks to an underground network of private citizens. CTV's Colton Prale reports.
For 2 months, Tyson Martin and Hakeem Azizi have been dreaming of this reunion.
Getting to the airport was like you were crossing the hell. Like, it was not easy.
The duo served 8 months together in Afghanistan in 2010 and completed over 100 missions, with Azizi working as a cultural liaison in some of the most dangerous parts of the country. But 11 years later, now on a kill list and watching as the Taliban encroached on Afghanistan's capital, it was time for one more mission.
You become lost on that moment. So you cannot imagine the exact thing that what will happen to you. Everything is possible and everything can happen.
With Azizi stuck waiting on a visa, Martin turned to old contacts.
There's an underground network of private citizens, mostly journalists, NGOs, diplomats, government ministers, special forces, ex-generals. They'd sort of all come together into one network, just strategizing, how we can get people out.
It was enough to get Azizi on a flight manifest, but it still meant getting to the airport and past Taliban checkpoints.
People were rushing, and it was not simple to get in. People were being killed at that time, and firing were going on around us. Military people were shooting.
It took Azizi 3 attempts, at one point even spending more than 27 hours waiting outside the airport when his wife needed to be resuscitated. But finally, he made it in.
The moment we were taken in, we had some sort of relief. Yeah, so that was worst time of our life.
Friday, he landed in Ottawa, finally reuniting with the man who saved his life.
In this case, he needed help. I guarantee he saved my life on the battlefield more than a few times. And I can't imagine, not returning the favor.
Support for Azizi has quickly grown. A GoFundMe has raised over $17,000, and the new immigrant already has a job and is working on finding a permanent place to live. But he's still thinking about those left behind, who weren't as fortunate to have a friendship like his.
But those who are still in Afghanistan, how stressed they might have. They definitely require the world's attention to the Afghan people.
There's a story.
There you have it. I mean, that is incredible. That is one of those things that, that is life-changing. You saved, not only did you save a lot of lives, but you saved a pivotal life at a time when a lot of people just probably would have turned their backs on it. And, our government did.
A lot of people did turn their backs on it.
And this is crazy. And
there's still thousands of our troops are still there. So
this is nuts. Cheers to you for doing that. I'm glad that I chipped into that.
Here's being a decent
I always say
being.
that. Yeah, and I say that this is one of the charitable donations that actually had a direct reflection. You could see the end result of it immediately. And, we feature extraordinary drinks with extraordinary people. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This is an extraordinary story, Tyson. It's not every day that you share this kind of experience with somebody. And not only that, it's one of these things that I'm pretty sure this brings some tough memories back. There's always the challenge of veterans and anybody who has served suffering from some elements of PTSD. You went through an awful lot there. I know Will did. Anybody that's served and saw active duty has.
It leaves a lasting impression on you, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, from the military journey, we're going to spin it a little more positive note. What are you drinking there, my friend, on that note?
That's straight vodka and ice. This is actually, I got my green dot, my Irish green dot, and I got my
nice.
Canadian green herb. So I mixed them together today. This is one of my favorite whiskeys. Have you tried their red dot, by the way?
No.
I have not tried it yet. I'm dying.
I'm going to have to try that with you. You're always introducing me to some new things. I love it. I've got a Mount Eden Vineyards 2017 Chardonnay.
Very
talking
nice.
about Chardonnay because it is Thanksgiving Eve as we video record this for the Americans, and it's the launch of the holiday season.
Yeah.
So we're kicking that off shortly, or I am after this, with a virtual tasting party with my great friend Scotty Schindler. But let's move along now and talk a little bit about your actual current expertise. You transitioned very nicely. I know this took quite a bit of time. You're also an entrepreneur. I have utmost respect for anybody that steps out and steps up to do that. But you moved into the world of technical recruiting. And I'm going to share with everyone here just your LinkedIn profile, because this is one way they can get a hold of you. I'm going to have this in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen, the description of this show, how to find and connect with Tyson. If you're looking at high-level positions, this is the man you want to speak to. He's got an absolutely a ton of experience here. You know, there is his professional profile. And he works and freelances with an entity called Team Builder, but he also works for himself. And if you are looking at executive C-suite level roles, senior technical roles, I believe, what else do you offer in this, Tyson? Because, this is also a great active duty, because you're actually helping people reinvent their careers and their career paths.
It's a very, very nice way to look at it, Rob. But no, any challenging roles that you're having a hard time filling. I do a lot of work with startups.
So, yeah, and I mean, you were doing some work, I think, with Rectify. You've done some work across the board with a lot of technical companies. You've done a lot of
companies
things
here in Ottawa and across North America. I'd say probably half in the States, half in Canada.
That's awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I'll have the show notes there. We're going to keep this short. I do have to go. I think we've covered quite a bit in a very powerful and impactful 16 minutes of this. Cheers to you. Happy hour, my friend. I really want to showcase what you've done to not only save the lives of your fellow troops, but to save the fellow lives of those that actually cooperated and helped us in what was about a 20-year war in Afghanistan that came abruptly to an end. And ladies and gentlemen, this is no laughing matter. There are literally thousands of people still trapped in Afghanistan, Americans, Canadians, other foreign nationals. And it's people like Tyson that have reached out and continue to reach out and serve beyond their active duty to repatriate and bring these people back to safety. And for that, sir, I thank you. Beyond just being a great friend, you are a great humanitarian. And, people need to reach out to you and acknowledge that and connect with you, my friend.
Thank you for the kind words, Rob. I only wish you were that nice to me all the time.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a terrific day. This is Rob and Tyson. Enjoy the splendid happy hour. Once again, have a terrific day. This is Rob from The Drunken Crew.